Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your Chief Security Fanatic here, and it is Sunday, so it is Breaches of the Week. And I'm telling you right now to stick with me because this is probably the longest Breaches of the Week I have ever done. In fact, I know it is, and it may be the longest I ever do, but the way we're going, that may not be the case. So I'm going to start with what might be the most damaging data breach in the history of data breaches in terms of scope. Not necessarily file size, but just personal information on corporations. And we're going to end this with what might be a massive data breach unfolding right before our eyes that we are still getting reports on from different entities. So stick around. It's going to be awesome. And let's start. Now, I mentioned in a video, I want to say within the last week or so, that a group called APT10, or Advanced Persistent Threat 10, that's their designation. They have a lot of nicknames, but the one that I like is Stone Panda. Basically, we know by all accounts that they are a state-sponsored hacking group sponsored by the Chinese government, and they were breaking into managed security service providers like HPE, that's Hewlett Packard Enterprise, or IBM, and that is massive, massive news that I think is really being underreported. And the reason being is that if Stone Panda was able to break in and start exfiltrating data for a very long time, and because it's advanced persistent threat, they went undetected for a good chunk of time, they can have seriously damning information, including up to login information on some of the largest corporations on the planet, governments, everything, because HPE and IBM, as well as a lot of their competitors, cater to enterprise level organizations and governments. And it's absolutely bonkers in scope. And we're going to see where this goes or where the fallout is. But I will keep you up to date on that because that's absolutely nuts. Now, with that, we're going to move on to the San Diego Unified School District. Now, personal information for 500,000 people were compromised in a data breach by this school district. And I quote, the system was breached via a phishing email somewhere between January and November of this year. Now, the hackers got information all the way back to 2008. So they have basically a decade's worth of information on the school district. So if you are part of the San Diego Unified School District, heads up. Moving on, we're going to head north of the border into Canada, and we're going to be talking about a town called St. John, and that's in New Brunswick, the province of New Brunswick. They just said that 6,000 of their citizens have had a data breach thanks to the Click-Gov data breach. Now, if you're not familiar with Click-Gov, basically what this was is it's a website that a lot of organizations, or cities rather, can go to have things paid. So if I get a parking ticket in St. John, I'm not going to pay St. John. I'm going to go pay Click-Gov. Click-Gov pays them. And this is used by towns and municipalities all over the place. And so they got compromised, which means all these towns and municipalities might have been compromised. And St. John up in New Brunswick is the last one, or the latest one rather, to declare this. And so we'll see where this goes, but I think we're going to see a lot more of these in the upcoming months. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Titan Manufacturing and Distributing in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, they, between November of 2017 and October of 2018, about 11 months or so, had a data breach, and a letter they sent out signed by their CEO said, and I quote, "The malware was programmed to access your shopping cart, including your name, billing address, telephone number, payment card number, expiration date, and verification code." So if you are a client or a customer of Titan Manufacturing and Distributing, heads up on that. Moving on, we're going to be talking about NASA. Now, NASA sent an internal memo to all of their employees, and I quote from the article, "The agency said that an unknown intruder gained access to one of its servers storing the personal data of current and former employees. Social security numbers were also compromised." So if you work for NASA, heads up on that. Hopefully we'll keep it safe. Moving on from there, we're going to be talking about the Elizabethtown Community Hospital. Now, they're part of the University of Vermont Health Network, and I know I've got a lot of listeners because I have radio affiliates for my show in Vermont, so heads up, guys, on this. And I quote from the article, "For a brief time, an unauthorized user remotely accessed an email account of an employee that contained some personal information, including social security numbers. While no evidence has been found that individual information was viewed," ECH said in a news release, the hospital is notifying about 32,000 potentially affected people. So if you're in Elizabethtown and you use the community hospital, you might want to check that out. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Warby Parker. Now, if you're not familiar with them, they are the largest eyeglasses maker on the planet. They just declared a cybersecurity breach of 198,000 customers, and what they are doing is blaming a credential surfing attack. Now, I've mentioned that before, but if you're not familiar with credential surfing, basically what it is hackers getting a username and password from you, usually dumped into the dark web due to a previous data breach, and then trying it absolutely everywhere. So if I get a username and password on you, I'm going to try it on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Google and Amazon and eBay and on and on and on and on. And Warby Parker just became a victim of this when their systems were slammed with all of this information. And we have seen a rash of these in the last month or so. I talked, I want to say last week or the week before, about Dunkin Donuts declaring a breach in the exact same way. And so this is all the more reason to be changing usernames and passwords on a regular basis. Well, maybe not usernames, because a lot of us keep those the same, but passwords definitely. So if you're a Warby Parker customer, heads up. We're going to be moving to the United Kingdom next and talking about Chelmsford. Now, if you are in the city of Chelmsford, heads up. Now, I quote, the city council has investigated a website-related error that caused personal data uploaded by some customers to become publicly accessible online. This happened between November 14th and December 14th of this year. So basically for a 1-month period of time, they had a website flaw that exposed customer data. I quote again, this includes the individual's name, address, email address, telephone number, and on one specific form, national insurance numbers. The UK, as you people in the UK know, you have the NHS. And so if you are in Chelmsford, your national insurance number may have been compromised. Now, the city council also came out and said they don't store any banking information there. So while the hackers got all of the other information, or might have seen all of the other information, your bank information was not. So that's good. Now, moving on to the final thing we're going to be talking about today, and that is, or at least we're going to start with, Caribou Coffee. Now, Caribou Coffee declared a breach in 239 of their stores. That's about 40% of their entire fleet of retail locations. They got breached via their point of sale system. And I quote from them specifically, if you used a credit card between August 28th and December 3rd of this year, please consider your credit card compromised and take appropriate action. Now, what makes this interesting is obviously it's a point of sale system compromise. That sucks. But August 28th to December 3rd. And as I'm compiling the information and researching all the data breaches for this week, I came across another one from a company called Bruegger's Bagels. They are not as big as Caribou Coffee by any stretch, but they have coast-to-coast locations as well, some in my area. Now, they declared a data breach on their point of sale system that happened between August 28th and December 3rd. Now, I looked at the methodology here and I said, wait a second, we have a point of sale system breach, same date format. These companies are related in some way. And sure enough, when I started diving in, they are owned by an organization or a company called JAB, that's JAB Holding. Now, JAB Holding owns a lot of different companies, many of which would have point of sales systems and retail. And some of these companies are Peet's Coffee, which is huge. They're a Starbucks competitor like Caribou is. They own Keurig. They own Stumptown Coffee Roasters. They own Einstein Brothers Bagels. And they own other companies as well, like Jimmy Choo, which I believe is a women's shoe brand. And some of you guys can correct me on that because I think that's right. I'm not sure. Another company called Coty, C-O-T-Y. Don't know what they do. Bally, which I think is a fitness place. Dowway Egberts. No idea what that is. Reckitt Benckiser, don't know what they do, and Bellstaff, again, have no idea about them. But what we may be seeing here is an evolving data breach. And so I'm going to be looking closely at like Peet's Coffee and Einstein Brothers and Stumptown and all of that in the next coming weeks, because what we might be seeing is a data breach that affected all of JAB Holding or significant pieces, or maybe not, maybe it was individual, but the mere fact that we have two entities that they own being basically declaring a breach in the exact same way, that's pretty telling. And so we'll see where that goes. But that is your data breaches of the week, and woo, it is a long list today, and 2018 has been absolutely crazy for this, and so we'll see where this goes. But this is almost the last data breaches of the week. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, or you can listen to this in audio format on SoundCloud /NickAESP or on iTunes as well, and obviously my YouTube channel /Nick Espinoza. I've got a lot of media going on these days. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.